Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. They're all big, but we have one of my favorite people who I don't really know, who I've always wanted to know. She's here in the house, Debbie Abbott. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Greg. I've always wanted to get to talk to you too, so this is really fun.
Well, you're involved in so many great things, and Bob Cook told me years ago. He said that it's so important for people who work at banks and utilities to step up in our community and take important roles on boards and nonprofits. And you're one of those people who's gone around, and now you're head of the board of the biggest nonprofit, the most important one we have, TidalHealth. So tell us all about that.
Well, that is a very exciting opportunity. TidalHealth is very, very important to our community and to every one of us. At one point in our lives, we probably all walk through the doors at TidalHealth. So I am happy to be there. And you're right. All of us bankers have tried to be good community citizens. And I'm really, really honored to be on the TidalHealth board.
What an overwhelming responsibility, though. I mean, this is the biggest thing that we have in the community. And, I used to think, well, the administration takes care of stuff, but I've seen here in the leadership transitions in recent years, and certainly through the pandemic and other situations, the expansion, the new marketing, the acquisition, the board really does play a really important role in policing what goes on and setting a tone and a vision for the future.
Well, I'm not sure about the policing part so much.
Well, you hold them accountable.
But we definitely play a role, and we all work together to come up with the best health care possible for the citizens of our region. And so together we just we help one another be the best that we can be.
So now there's a new name. We'll say Peninsula Regional forever after being trained not to say Peninsula General anymore. I was born at Peninsula General Hospital, then Peninsula General Hospital Medical Center, then Peninsula Regional Medical Center. Now it's TidalHealth. That name, it's actually been easy for me to learn this new name and sort of grasp what's going on there in terms of the marketing. Talk about how the name was chosen and why it's important to rename the hospital.
Well, thanks for asking, because we are kind of excited to talk about it. When we had the opportunity to bring in Nanticoke Memorial Hospital and McCready Hospital, we felt as though sometimes it's some sort of the symbolism that's really important. And so in order to get away from that we and they, we wanted to go just with we. And so we decided that we ought to look into a name that we could all identify with. So we talked to like 1,000 people, really literally doctors and nurses. And we talked to all the community members, all the board members. We talked to patients. And when we got done with all that conversation, we looked at a lot of names, sort of narrowed it down to 3, and then all of a sudden the name TidalHealth came. And it just seems so right. Nanticoke means tidal people. Peninsula, we are approached by tides day in and day out. And it just, and here's McCready right on, the bay.
Yeah,
it just
great
seemed like
location.
The right fit. And once we talked about TidalHealth, it was like, yeah, that's the one. And then again, but you have to sort of be sensitive to the history of it all. And so we decided we would sort of name the campuses. So we would be TidalHealth Peninsula Regional, and we would be TidalHealth Nanticoke, and we would be TidalHealth McCready Health Pavilion. And so that everybody, first of all, could find the right spot.
Right.
And second of all, we would feel like we did recognize the history in every organization.
Yeah, that's confusing. People don't realize there's like 60 different satellite offices in these health pavilions, and they're all over everywhere. So the branding ties them together, but also gives a location.
Yes, hopefully. That's the plan.
And I love that the resources that TidalHealth has, it's going to help McCready, certainly down there, an area of high need in terms of medical care. So they're going to get a new facility that makes more sense for them and their community.
Right.
And of course, the Giant in Salisbury will continue to be the great center that it is. And then Nanticoke, which has a solid little reputation, great loyalty, a lot of dedication, great staff, that gets the support that it needs too.
Exactly. We just all fit together like a nice puzzle.
So what are you telling people about our reaction to the pandemic and how are things going out there?
Well, I am very happy to be able to say that our reaction to the pandemic has been just excellent, just the highest possible quality. And I have been so impressed by the dedication of every person on every healthcare team. Everybody has just thrown themselves at this, and the results have been just outstanding. In fact, our death rates have been one of the best in the nation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really impressive right here on the Eastern Shore. Some of the health protocols that have been set up here at TidalHealth have been so successful that people from all over the world have been contacting our hospital team and saying, now, how did you do that?
Right.
How do you do this? What's your process? Because it's just been so successful. So that's really good for all of us who are living here.
Yeah, and we were able to flatten the curve early and
Yes.
kind of moved into the process slowly and kind of were able to embrace all the patients and had great success in treating people.
Exactly. Obviously, we had a lot of sick people. At the end of April, we had about 170 patients at TidalHealth Peninsula Regional and Nanticoke Memorial. And then we had probably another 40 who were in there under observation. And now we're down to about 20 plus at each hospital. So it's much better. But Steve would probably fuss if I didn't say this, but we still need to wear our mask.
Right.
We still need to practice social distancing. We still need to practice good hand hygiene. And we just can't forget that it is out there. But things are good right now.
You mentioned his name, Steve Leonard, and in my job, reporting on people, watching people, I have to be very careful not to ever develop friendships with newsmakers. But I have to admit, I really like Steve Leonard. He's a great guy. He's head of the TidalHealth.
He is the president and CEO. He is a great guy. How could you not like him? He is so smart. He is so knowledgeable. He is very approachable, which I think is really important.
He really is, yeah.
And he's very humble.
I was going to say humble is the word that describes him. He doesn't have the airs that, an executive who's in charge of the largest operation, in our entire community should and would have.
Could have, yes,
Yeah.
could have. And he just doesn't. He subscribes to the servant leader philosophy, and he walks that walk.
And I think these changes, having him at the helm, have really made it easier.
I agree with you. I think that going into COVID together was kind of an ideal time for us to
Right.
band together. Where we might have, we may have been a little, taken a little time to sort of warm up. We just rolled up our sleeves and jumped in, and we're all in this together. And it was a great team building exercise.
You've got a great board, but I think if I was on that board, I would be intimidated. You've got healthcare experts, financial experts, who want to sort of tell you this is the direction we need to go. And how hard is it to challenge people like that and to bring common sense into things and to learn and make decisions that might go against what they want to do?
I know what you're saying, and it does happen occasionally in boards where there's a difference of opinion of how to achieve something, but surprisingly, we all seem to be pretty congenial about what we think is the right thing to do. When you look at the details of it, and you look at the facts, and sit there, it's usually pretty easy to know what seems to be the best plan. And you have a lot of smart people there, and they do come from various different walks of life. We have people there who, work on the national food, chain. We have people who are financial people. We have a lot of doctors and nurses. We have people from behavioral health. We have people from the education world, people with engineering training. We have a lot of people from the insurance world, which is really kind of neat because they really help us assess risk.
Right.
And we have people who are skilled in strategic planning. It's a nice mix. It's a nice mix.
So you must really be impressed at people, how the employees there at all the levels have so much care. Like when you walk in there, these people really care about me.
You're right. And part of it is because of where we live. The 5,000 people that work at TidalHealth, they're all our neighbors, our friends. We some of our children go to school together. A lot of people might have organizations in common. They may go to the same church. They may be part of the same PTA. They may be part of the same soccer team. They may play volleyball together. I mean, we're all together. So when the people report to work, it's not a number, like a patient number. It's a neighbor, a friend, and they feel really, really involved in how this works out. They want the best outcome, and that makes a difference.
Yeah, in terms of workplace too, I had a couple of procedures here a couple of years ago where I had to go for surgery like 3 times in a year. And I really enjoyed it, which sounds ridiculous because, you'd be there waiting to be put under or whatever. And to hear the rapport between the doctors and the nurses and the technicians and the things they would say to each other, I would think, why can't my workplace be like this? I mean, they really seem to work as a team, people with very different objectives all working together. I was just so impressed by that.
It is impressive. And I've had the same experience. You're there waiting to do whatever has to be done, and they're all talking about, something that, that showed they have a relationship, they like each other, they work well together, and they're happy to be there. It's a really neat thing. I mean, much better than being in a situation where you feel like, ooh, nobody likes each other.
Right. Right. So what's next for the hospital? I would think that you would just want to get the whole reorganization, branding thing together and kind of hover for a while. But I know it doesn't really work like that. What is next? What are the next objectives that the TidalHealth wants to try to accomplish?
Well, I think in healthcare, our next objectives are always to keep improving. As good as any hospital system is, we could always be a little better. And so we never want to settle for what we are today. We always want to keep working on the next level of care. It's expensive to provide great medical equipment, great physicians and nurses. It's expensive. So we're always looking at how we can get better. But some of our next things are also kind of interesting because one of the things that we'd like to do is eventually have, medical education, be a part of medical education at TidalHealth. And it's kind of a selfish reason because we're thinking that if we have young, resident doctors, training doctors, and coming here for part of their training and part of their education, they're going to fall in love with the area.
Right, and they'll stay.
They're going to stay because it is all about where do I want to live. I mean, you could be a physician anywhere, but where do you want to live? Where do you want to raise your family? Where do you want to go, buy a house so that you're not too far away from surfing or whatever it is you like to do? And so it's a little selfish reason, but we really are going to pursue medical education. That's one of our next big things.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. I was talking to someone who knows about this kind of stuff, and they said, you're so lucky where you are because you've got Warwick Community College and you've got Salisbury University, which both have excellent nursing programs, and they can feed people into your hospitals.
We are really lucky because of the Warwick and SU and Nanticoke's contribution to that, and various other options for nursing training here on the shore. We can train people that grew up here who want to be nurses, and so they most likely will want to live here after graduation. So you're right, we have a pretty good supply of nurses, but we could really improve on that supply of doctors. So we're hoping this will work.
And as an example of something you don't realize what you have till it's gone, the PA program, the Physician's Assistant program down at UMES, they had a credential problem. They lost it for a while. And I've heard since then that there was a real ripple through the community because those PAs were doing work here and they weren't available anymore.
Right.
So the program's back on track, and that's good. But you realize how important just feeding PAs out of Princess Anne to the Salisbury medical community really was.
It was an important piece of the puzzle, and we're so excited that it's back. Very excited.
So much of what TidalHealth does is trying to keep people healthy so they never show up at the hospital.
That's a very good point. And it's kind of a sea change in healthcare that happened several years ago, but it's gaining a lot of momentum. There is just so much value to keeping people healthy and avoiding the need to be in a hospital for a very serious healthcare condition. And so one of our major initiatives is called Population Health. And we are just major focused on helping people manage like healthcare issues that start when they're kind of minor and simple. If we help them then and avoid them getting really sick, it really is meaningful. And if we could even avoid them developing diabetes and avoid them developing heart conditions, wouldn't that be great? So that's a really big thing in healthcare, and Dr. Catherine Fiddler is very focused
She's
on
terrific.
that. But
Yeah,
she is.
She writes a little column for us, and she hasn't been because of pandemic, but and it's very insightful, and it always triggers me to remember to try to be more healthy just from reading her column.
Yeah, she does. She does. Okay, I better think about this.
I love the portal, the healthcare portal, so I can track my bills and stuff like that, and read the notes that the doctors write. And I had such a great experience last year, or the year before. There was a note in my file that I could see that said, "Someone really needs to talk to Mr. Bassett about his weight." So the next time I was at the doctor came in, he goes, "First of all, we have to talk about your weight." And I said, "Yeah, I read it in the file too." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "It's right there in the file." He's like, "You can see the file?" I was like, "Everyone can see their file because it's completely transparent now."
Yeah, it is. We may not always understand all the notes, but it's there.
Every year or a couple times a year, I get these news releases that talk about all the great awards that TidalHealth always wins. And I'm just always happy to see these things, but as a regular person, I'm not sure I understand all the awards. So tell me about the awards. There was just a slew of them here recently that we had in the paper. Talk about how important that is to your reputation and what you're trying to achieve.
Well, I think you really hit on a very important point. It does enhance our reputation as a fine healthcare facility here in our region. And since we're all that we have here, it's important that we be a good healthcare facility. So, yes, it's important to be able to say, yes, we achieved some awards. So, yeah, if I may, I'll just talk about that. We were recognized by Health Grades with over 30 clinical achievement awards for care and outcomes.
Now, someone said to me recently, they said, well, they pay for that Health Grades thing just to, win those awards. No, it's a completely independent thing. It doesn't work that way at all, but go ahead.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. We do not pay to get the award, but so I'll brag just a minute. We're one of America's best 250 hospitals and in the top 5% in the nation for patient care. And we're really proud of that because we know that it's important to you as a patient or a consumer to know that I'm going into a really fine hospital. They know what they're doing.
Right.
They have a good facility. They have good equipment. They have good physicians and nurses. So I'm going to be in a good place. So yes, thanks for giving me a chance to
Right.
talk about that. So it's really been just really exciting to be around a healthcare organization like TidalHealth.
One of your roles too is in fundraising, and we've had some great supporters of the hospital.
Yeah.
The Moore family down in Ocean City with the mental health certainly, and the other things. The Hannahs, they have a whole entranceway.
Yes.
The Guerreris. We're just so lucky to have people who want to give money and make the hospital better.
We are lucky. We're really lucky. But it is kind of, if I were in their shoes and could do that, it would be a neat thing to be able to do, to know that you made a real significant difference at your local healthcare facility. So I think it's a great thing for people to be able to help others, and I'm really glad we have the people at the foundation to help people make those gifts.
Denise Billing does a great job.
She does.
She's terrific.
She
She
does.
runs great events.
She does.
And keeps everybody focused on what the goal is. Can be fun and serious at the same time, and it's great, that whole dynamic between the foundation and and the actual business part of it.
It is. It is. It's. We're very, very fortunate because sometimes being able to receive those gifts, that gives us just enough impetus so that we can go ahead and add a program to the hospital or get a piece of equipment that we need, and it does make a difference.
Plug the website. The new website is terrific.
Well, it's www.mytidalhealth.org, and it is really, you're right, it's a great resource. If there's any condition that you're kind of interested in finding out what are the resources, look. I was actually on there yesterday kind of looking around, and I was like, wow, there's just so
much
many
stuff.
Support groups
Yeah.
and resources. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it really is. I want to talk about community banking a little bit because I'm a fan of community banking, and I think I'm a fan because I was in community newspapers, love little community papers. I was worried about the people, or concerned, or cared about the people I wrote obits about and put their graduations in the paper. And I feel like you do the same thing at a community bank. So talk about why you're in community banking.
Well, thank you for pointing out the value of the community bank, because there is a great value. The community banks feel a tremendous obligation to give back, to support the people that make the bank successful. Community banks are successful because people in the community choose that bank for their loans and deposits, and then on the other hand, the community banks give local people a chance to grow and expand their businesses and to achieve some of their family dreams and goals. So it's a great partnership. A lot of focus on the communities by the bank, and then the community is very good to the banks by being loyal to them. One of the neatest things about being a community banker is that they support us in going out and spending time helping local organizations. So that's something I'm very, very appreciative to. I've had 2 employers over my career, and they both supported my community activities.
Your Peninsula Bank with Jeff Turner and those guys,
Yes,
great community.
Yes.
They're bought by the big corporation PNC, and now you're with Bank of Delmarva.
Yes, and Jeff is on the chairman of our board, by the way.
Okay.
So yes, the Bank of Delmarva is a great bank, and very focused on being supportive of our community. It's been a really great opportunity to be part of that team.
How do you see the community changing? You've been around a while. Are you positive you have a positive look on where we're headed, or how do you feel about all this?
I do feel very positive. I think we're very fortunate to be located close to the coastal regions. There is a lot of economic energy on the coast. People from throughout the Atlantic seaboard, there are a lot of cities that are just a couple hours away from our area. And with some of the changes in our world, there are a lot of people that would like to come to our area to either take a vacation, or in some cases they want to move here and telework. And with the new remote work opportunities, we see a lot of people coming here and they're saying, I work for a company in Finland or China or New York City or Charlotte, but I can live wherever I like, and I want to live here.
Yeah.
And thanks to the computer, they can do their work wherever they are. I'm very high on the area. I think that even during this COVID-19 pandemic, we've had some economic benefit from the fact that people still have gone to the beaches and spent a little bit of vacation time there, or a little bit of mental health break there, and it's helped our economy.
Debbie Abbott, thank you for all you do for the community. Great service through the years on so many boards.
Oh, thank
We're just
you.
so thrilled that you were able to come in today and talk about TidalHealth, and thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. She's Debbie Abbott. She's chairman of the board at TidalHealth Healthcare, and we're thrilled that she had time to be with us here today. Thanks again. I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.